Glory to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, both now and ever, and unto the ages of ages. Amen. Dear children, welcome to Sunday School Class 11. Let's learn today about the topic, Malankara Church in Modern Ages, which is Lesson 4 from Unit 3. Let's learn about the history of Catholicate. The important events of the modern age are described in this chapter. Firstly, about framing the constitution of the Malankara Church. Secondly, the merger of the posts of Malankara Metropolitan and Catholicos. Then about the Supreme Court judgment of 1958 and reconciliation in the Church. And finally about the Malankara Church and the ecumenical movement. Children, let's have a look into topic, framing the constitution of the Malankara Church in 1934. Malankara Orthodox Church, the Christian church in India, framed and implemented a constitution even before India became an independent nation and framed her national constitution. The constitution of the Malankara Church was passed by the Malankara Syrian Christian Association convened at MD Seminary, Kottayam on 26 December 1934. The framing of the constitution helped in preserving the independence and identity of the Malankara Church and in checking foreign domination. Although the period between 1911 and 1934 was a period of conflicts, peaceful atmosphere was maintained through peace talks. The managing committee of Malankara Association, which met in 1928, entrusted a constituent subcommittee under the leadership of Shri O.M. Cherian. This committee prepared a draft document titled Compendium of Laws. At the same time, Saint Vattasseril Dionysius Metropolitan also prepared another draft of the constitution. While discussions and studies on both these drafts were going on, Vattasseril Metropolitan passed away on 23 February 1934. The Malankara Syrian Christian Association, that met on 26 December 1934, passed the constitution drafted and submitted by the Constituent Subcommittee, and the constitution came into force in 1935. The Constitution of Malankara Church, passed in 1934, contained 13 chapters and 127 articles. Today the Constitution has 13 chapters and 135 articles. The Constitution has been amended in the years 1951, 1967, 1997, 2006 and 2012. Children, let's understand about the merger of the posts of Malankara Metropolitan and Catholicos. The posts of Catholicos and Malankara Metropolitan were formed during various stages of development of the Malankara Church. The apostolic heritage and succession that originated from St. Thomas continued for centuries through the church prelates. This apostolic line extends from the early fathers of Indian Church, who received their blessings directly from St. Thomas, till the Catholicos. Just like in other early churches, the early fathers of Indian Church too might have been known as elders and chiefs. History states that these heads of the church were known as archdeacons in later periods. Ever since the declaration of independence of the church in 1653, the heads of Malankara Church came to be known as Marthomas. These Marthomas and their successors, called Malankara Metropolitans, gave strong leadership to the church. With the founding of the Catholicate in 1912, there were two key spiritual positions in Malankara Church. One was that of Malankara Metropolitan, who executed the physical, spiritual, and ecclesiastical administration of the Malankara Church. The other was that of the Catholicos, who executed the consecration of Holy Moron and consecration of bishops, along with presiding over the synod. These two positions existed as separate entities from 1912 to 1934. Children, let's watch a small video clip which shows consecration of Holy Moron, which was conducted in Malankara Sabha in 2018 at Devlokam. Children, let's also watch a small video clip which shows consecration of bishops in 2009 at Puttupalli Church.
പേരുപെട്ട ദേശത്തുള്ള പരിശുദ്ധ മലങ്കര ഓർത്തഡോക്സ് സഭയ്ക്ക് സുറിയാനി സഭയ്ക്കായി ഓഹാമാർ എപ്പിഫാന്യൂസ് മെത്രാപ്പോലീത്ത പിതാവിൻ്റെയും പുത്രൻ്റെയും പരിതൃഹാവിൻ്റെയും തിരുനാമത്തിൽ വിദ്യനായി പട്ടം കെട്ടപ്പെട്ടിരിക്കുന്നു. പരിശുദ്ധനാമം പ്രാദേശം അതിൻ്റെ ഓലാമൻ
ദൈവത്തിന്റെ പരിശുദ്ധ സഭയിൽ പട്ടം കെട്ടപ്പെട്ടിരിക്കുന്നു.
അനുഗ്രഹിക്കപ്പെട്ട പരിശുദ്ധ ദേശത്തുള്ള പരിശുദ്ധ മലങ്കര ഓർത്തഡോക്സ് സുറിയാനി സഭയ്ക്കായി മാത്യൂസ് മാർ തിമോത്തിയോസ് മെത്രാപ്പോലീത്ത പേര് പറയപ്പെട്ട ദേശത്തുള്ള ഓർത്തഡോക്സ് സഭയ്ക്കായി മാത്യൂസ് മാർ തിമോത്തിയോസ് മെത്രാപ്പോലീത്ത പിതാവിൻ്റെയും പുത്രൻ്റെയും പരിശുദ്ധവാവിൻ്റെ തിരുനാമത്തിൽ ഇതിനായി പട്ടം കെട്ടപ്പെട്ടിരിക്കുന്നു.
Children, here is the picture of Holy Episcopal Synod which was conducted in 2019 where our present Catholicos, His Holiness, Basileus Marthoma Paulos II presided. The Malankara Syrian Christian Association of 1934 decided that both these positions should be vested in one person. Thus the two key spiritual positions in Malankara were merged into one and assumed the entitlement of Catholicos of the East and Malankara Metropolitan. Thus the Catholicos became the president of Malankara Syrian Christian Association and the Metropolitan Trustee of the Malankara Church. This merger of positions helped in the rapid development of the Malankara Church thereafter. Children, let's understand about Supreme Court judgment of 1958 and reconciliation in the Church. After the founding of Catholicate in 1912, disputes heightened in the Church and the two factions, known as the Patriarchal faction and the Metropolitan faction respectively, competed against each other. Along with registering cases against the rival faction, there were simultaneous attempts for reconciliation. Even though all the efforts for reconciliation failed, the Honorable Supreme Court gave its verdict in 1958. The verdict was in favor of the Orthodox Church and thereafter peace was established in the Malankara Church. The verdict was given by a 5-member bench presided over by Chief Justice S.R. Das. Apart from the Chief Justice of India, the division bench comprised of Justice Bhagwati, Justice Sinha, Justice Subba Rao and Justice Vanku as its members. The Supreme Court verdict of 1958 ended the long-standing case filed in 1938 by the Patriarchal faction against His Holiness Geevarghese II, the then Catholicos and Malankara Metropolitan. This case had several interim verdicts and verdicts of lower courts as well as appeals during its course. Even though one such verdict of 1946 was against the Orthodox Church, the Supreme Court on appellate petition judged in favor of the Orthodox Church in 1958. This verdict resulted in the establishment of peace within the Church. After the verdict of 1958, all metropolitans, from both Patriarchal and Metropolitan factions met at Old Seminary Kottayam in presence of Maria Olios, the Patriarchal representative. This is a rare photograph of 1984, the golden era of Malankara Orthodox Syrian Church, where 2 patriarchs and 4 Catholicoi are in one photograph. Here is a rare paper cutting, Baselios Augun enthroned as Catholicos, which was on front page of Malayalam Manorama on the 23rd of May 1964. Even though peace was re-established in the church in 1958, disputes continued to raise its head here and there. Malankara Church remains divided for more than 1 century and civil suits after civil suits plague it. A final judgment regarding the disputes after the establishment of peace came from the Honorable Supreme Court in 1995. However, neither these subsequent judgments nor the efforts at establishing peace could claim a final settlement. The verdict of the Supreme Court itself was an attempt to promote the efforts for reconciliation. A meeting of Malankara Syrian Christian Association was held on March 2002. Justice Malimuttu of the Supreme Court was observer at this meeting. This meeting endorsed through voting that His Holiness Baselios Marthoma Matthews II was the statutory Malankara Metropolitan. Unfortunately, the patriarchal faction withdrew from the meeting at the last moment. Thereafter, that faction has continued to respond negatively, and therefore peace in Malankara Church still remains at large. Children, let's understand about Malankara Church and the ecumenical movement. 20th century is a notable period in church history. The emergence of ecumenical movements have enabled the coming together of the divided church communities. It also aids in inter-church dialogues and joint action. Malankara Orthodox Church has always welcomed and cooperated with such initiatives. It is one of the founding members of World Council of Churches. This is an indicator of the ecumenical interest of the Malankara Church. Even before the emergence of WCC, Malankara Church had shown great interest in the ecumenical scenario. His Holiness Catholicos Givargis II, His Grace Dr. Paulos Mar Gregorios, His Grace Dr. Philippos Mar Theophilus, His Grace Alexios Mar Theodosius, Father Dr. V.M. Samuel, Father Dr. K.M. George, Father Dr. Jacob Kurian and Sarah Chako have actively participated in several ecumenical assemblies representing Malankara Church. It is a fact that the factional disputes and internal problems of the Malankara Church have adversely affected its ecumenical image. Children, let's understand about mission activities of Malankara Church. There are historical records regarding the existence of a monastic order of Malankara Church named Order of St. Thomas before the reign of Marthoma I, that is when he was Archdeacon Thomas. Majority of the monastic orders existing in Malankara Church today originated in the first decades of the 20th century and even after that. The Bethany Ashram of Perunad, Rani was founded in 1918. Mount Tabor Daira of Patnapuram in 1929, Bethlehem Ashram, Chingamnad in 1960, St. Paul's Ashram, Pudupadi in 1958, Holy Trinity Ashram, Rani in 1970, Tadakam Ashram in Coimbatore in 1936 and Mercuriakos Dayara, Malapra was founded in 1985. Along with the monasteries, nunneries were also established. Thus 20th century decisively influenced the growth of Malankara Church. Along with the founding of monastic ashrams, evangelical activities developed in the Malankara Church. The Oriental Evangelical Committee constituted by Father Givargis of Artungal and the Slebadasa, Servants of the Cross, community founded by Deacon M.P. Patros are examples. Besides, the St. Paul's Evangelical Movement was founded in 1953 by Deacon M.V. George, His Grace Georgisma Rostatios Metropolitan. Children, if you have any doubt related to this topic, you can comment and we are glad to help you.